So in the previous video, we explained the shape of the Keynesian model, which is the following of the Keynesian aggregate supply model. Now, what are the differences between it and the neoclassical? The first difference is the horizontal part of the supply curve. Now, in the Keynesian point of view, that it can happen that output in the economy rises with stable prices. In the neoclassical model, however, if you can just recall it, if we have the increase in output, for example, if aggregate demand shifts, let's say over here, if aggregate demand shifts to the right, it can happen that output rises without an increase in price level. However, in the neoclassical, prices has to always rise. So we need to consider which one is considered realistic. Does it happen more often, or does it happen in real life that countries face increasing output without an increase in prices? Or is it always the case that prices rise? So this is the first question of distinction between the neoclassical and the Keynesian. The second point of distinction is that in the neoclassical, they say that the economy will automatically always in the long run go towards the long run aggregate supply. However, in the Keynesian, equilibrium can happen even below the full employment level. To answer this question, explain how in the Keynesian model the economy may be in equilibrium at any level of real output, even below the full employment level. So when we have with the system horizontal and the upward sloping part, which is when resources are getting scarce, and the full employment of resources. So it's one aggregate supply model, and this represents the full employment. Ooh, it's kind of shifting. Why is it doing so? Oh my god. Okay, so the vertical part represents the full employment level of output or real GDP, and this represents the average price level. Now, in order to answer the question, you have to know that the main reason why any point of equilibrium in the Keynesian model is the long run is because they believe that wages are sticky, or we say sticky downwards, that wages do not flow or that do not fall, or as it's written here, it's downward inflexible. All of this is explaining the same thing. So in the Keynesian model, if the equilibrium is at the point below the full employment, where aggregate demand and the actual output is below full employment, their point of view is that the economy will remain stuck at this equilibrium unless government intervenes and shifts aggregate demand curve to the right towards an output closer to the full employment. So from the Keynesian point of view, it will only occur if aggregate demand increases, and aggregate supply will not shift because there is no difference between short run and long run. There is no difference in wages. Wages are fixed in both short run and long run, unlike the neoclassical. So to summarize, any equilibrium represents the long run equilibrium. Second thing, output in the economy, output of the economy will not rise unless aggregate demand increases, and usually done by government intervention to increase aggregate demand. So mainly by the demand side policy. If you remember, what are the demand side policies? Demand side policies, this is a good chance to review them, are fiscal policies or monetary policies. Fiscal policies is the demand side policy in which the government sets the taxes or controls government spending. Usually fiscal policies of government spending can be supply side policies, as government increase in infrastructure spending and education and healthcare affects long run aggregate supply. So it's explain in another video. Monetary policies is the set of government policies in which the government controls money supply and interest rate. And by this, I would like you to, again, try to think, can you answer this question on your own, or would you if you have more questions, please comment below. And just as a summary of the two main differences between the neoclassical and the Keynesian model. First, and let me write it as number 1, section in the Keynesian aggregate supply. So, summary of the two main differences between the neoclassical and the Keynesian model. Number 1, the horizontal section of the Keynesian model, which is this part, this part states that an output can rise without an increase in the price level in the economy. Now think, is it realistic? Is it more realistic than the neoclassical? Is it less realistic? How can we know? Theory of knowledge question. How can data be collected to ensure which model is correct? Second difference, so I'll let you think on that. Now the second difference between them is that wages are sticky in the point of view of the Keynesian economist, but in the neoclassical, wages vary over the long run. So this is an opportunity to review. Can you explain ABCD when wages in the neoclassical vary? How do they shift the economy towards the long run, full employment, cost of production change, short-term aggregate supply shifts? However, in the Keynesian, wages are sticky, so wherever the aggregate demand intersects the aggregate supply curve, this will be the long run unless the economy shifts the aggregate demand. Okay, thank you for watching and see you next time.